Hello and welcome to the City Show. I'm your host, Doc Tom Krieger. On this week's show, we're going to get a personalized tour of the new Warren County Jail from Sheriff Larry Sims. Right now, we're going to talk with Robin Kiley, the founder of Stand to Serve. That's an organization that's been responsible for Warren County's annual 9/11 Memorial and a number of other projects. With her is Justin Deeter, the electronic media instructor at the Warren County Career Center. Welcome to the couch, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Now, Robin, why did you start Stand to Serve?
Well, I started Stand to Serve because I had been blessed by this wonderful nation and this wonderful community with the opportunity to pursue my career and to have a peaceful pursuit of passions and things of that sort. And I really wanted to give back to the community.
Yeah.
I wanted to give back to the first responders and the police and the fire and the military because they have created the environment, the community, a country that's free and protected to allow all of us to enjoy those liberties. And so I felt that need to give back, and that started with acts of kindness and appreciation and showing gratitude as an individual, and then it began to grow into an organization where I was bringing in others to show their kindness and their appreciation to these wonderful men and women that serve our country.
Interesting timing too, because we're at a point where people are forgetting about how important the police are, how important our soldiers are,
Yes.
how important all these wonderful people who protect us are, and we've gone in the wrong direction, and it's kind of like you're standing in the middle, and I appreciate that. I bet all the police officers and soldiers you come in contact with have really expressed their gratitude too. Do you have maybe one little story that you can share with us about somebody who you've encountered and how it's touched you?
Well, I have a wonderful friend who I met through a charity event. He is a retired First Special Forces. He lost many of his friends in the number of events, as he was serving across 35 countries. And he, what I did with him is he shared his stories, and he wanted to know that somebody cared. Yeah. And what ended up happening is his stories were so inspiring that I started writing poetry and creating cards and inviting him, his name is Stephen Crosley, to come in and to start speaking at small events. And then it began to grow into larger community events and such things as the 9/11. And what we do is by allowing people like our police, our fire and military to share their story on a public event or a platform, what we're doing is we're dignifying the sacrifice and the service that they have undertaken and others have undertaken for our liberty and freedom.
You know, that kind of goes into my next question. You kind of summed up part of it already. What does your organization do?
Our organization is basically organizing our schools, our community to do acts of kindness. We do that by creating cards, doing appreciation events, doing 9/11. Part of the reason why we do the 9/11 is that I found out in talking to our local fire department in Hamilton Township that they were the ones that were having to actually organize the remembrance of 9/11. And I thought to myself, that seems entirely wrong that the people who bore the greatest burden, who went into the Twin Towers and lost their lives and daily sacrifice and serve our community, that they would have to be the ones that would remind us, the community, of what it is to be an American and what it is to serve the greater good. And I said, that is completely wrong. That really motivated me to be the person to get these events organized. And so we're doing the 9/11 remembrance. We're working with wonderful people like the Warren County Career Center, the King's local school districts. we're working with other nonprofits, and we're bringing our community together to show our appreciation and gratitude in tangible ways that really impact these men and women.
Now, you just had a big, our 20th anniversary
Yes.
of the 9/11 Memorial. That's an example of what you've done for the community. You
Yes.
recruited Justin, and some of his students were tasked with recording and editing the event to play on Channel 6, and that's going to be posted on the Stand to Serve website also.
Yes.
Justin, how did you come to know Robin?
Robin actually reached out to the school, to our coordinator who coordinates students with jobs, and she was looking for somebody to help out with this. And I thought it was a great opportunity to connect students to the community, and to get them real life experience out there in the field too. And so that's what the Career Center is all about: is connecting students with real life experience.
Did you find you had to educate many of the students, or are they still pretty up on the
Yeah.
fact that our nation was attacked on that
Well,
date?
my students were not alive during this time.
Yeah.
And so, they're obviously aware of what happened, but they didn't experience or go through
Yeah.
it. And so I know that talking with them afterwards, some of them was like, wow, I didn't realize all that happened and everything. And, it was interesting to see it through their eyes. Yeah.
And what did the students do specifically for the 9/11 Memorial?
So I had a group of about 8 students come with
Yeah.
me. I had some students taking photography pictures to record it, and then I also had some videographers taking videos for it. We then took it back and we edited it all together, and created about an hour and a half long video for them to go on the website and on YouTube and things like that to share with the community.
Were there any specific challenges that you encountered with this project that you didn't encounter with some of your other projects with the kids?
And so working, honestly, I love working with students. I will say that there was a large group of juniors that volunteered, which honestly, we've been working in Photoshop and on some of the computer programs. It was the first time they've ever held a camera. And so that was a challenge, getting them caught up in a live event on the moment and showing them how to do it all. I'll be honest, I was extremely impressed with every single one of them. We had no issues go down. There was, a little bit of a learning curve in the beginning there, but by the end of it, they were all in sync and doing very well. So.
Any thoughts on their takeaway, the kids' takeaway on this event?
Yeah, it's always great as a teacher to see the students get inspired by something.
Yeah.
And in a classroom, you can talk about it, you can show them all you want, but until they actually get out there and do it, these students are trying to pick out careers that they want to do the rest of their life, and getting that experience firsthand is really invaluable. A lesson that they can learn. And so many of them came up to me afterward and said, that was so much fun, I love doing that.
Yeah.
I can't believe that we can get paid to do something like this. And so I think it opened their eyes up to possibilities big time.
Now, Robin, you also had a group of students from King's High School, and they
Yes.
submitted artwork for the 9/11 Memorial Service. What was it like for you to work with these kids? And do you have some stuff you can show us?
I absolutely do. What I have to say is they are inspiring.
Yeah.
They are creative. The depth of their insight is nothing less than amazing. And when I talked to Angie Guilfoyle and also Lisa King over at King's,
Are they the art teachers over there?
one's an art teacher and the
Yeah.
other's a AP government
Okay.
teacher over at King's. And they have inspired amazing poetry, the art that I'm going to now show you, art that made people come to tears.
Yeah,
It was so outstanding, the impact on our community
Yeah.
and on our first responders and our military, that they want to do it every year.
Wow.
And I think we've had that same impact with our Career Center, because what we have is the students are understanding now that their talent has direct impact and relevance on people that are serving every day in very high-risk professions.
Yeah.
And what we're doing is we're supercharging our young people to get involved, to be a positive influence on our community, and it's very exciting.
Now you have an art background
I do.
yourself.
I do.
So for you to come and be engaged by these young people, they got you stirred up, you stirred them up.
Yes, we're all inspired.
Yeah.
And what we're also doing is inspiring our community. So what we're doing is everyone is beginning to think about, what can I do
Yeah.
to make this community even better than it is already?
Wow. That's not what your government can do for you, but what you
No.
can do for your government, I believe, or your
Abs-
country. Yeah.
Absolutely, and for those who serve our country
Wow.
and defend our liberty.
Yeah.
So
You
it's
got
exciting.
some stuff there you can show
yes,
us?
I
and
would like to. I would
Hopefully
like
the guys will be able to catch it, tilt it down this way so There you go. And that's one of the
This
pieces
is from
of art.
King's High School.
Yeah.
It's a candlelight vigil.
That's beautiful.
I'd like to show you the next
Yeah.
one.
So what
This par-
happens with this art? Do you just keep it and display it later? Are they gonna have a sale to generate some?
What we're going to do is we're working with the Warren County Career Center, and we're going to create a digital and physical compilation of all this artwork, which we've done for several years, and we're going to bring together the speeches,
Yeah.
the poems, the insights, the art. All of this is going to be put together, and it's going to be accessed and given as a gift of appreciation to our first responders and our military. And
Wow.
it's also going to be shared with our community.
Yeah.
And we're going to continue to build this wonderful collection of art and show it every year. We were we were blessed to have Warren County commissioners that allowed us to display this art in the county administration building, and the community responded with just an outpouring of gratitude and
Wow. appreciation,
especially at first responders. I'm showing this piece in particular because the Lebanon firehouse, a new one is being built, and they asked if they could have this
Nice.
hung
Yeah.
in their new firehouse. And we have pieces all over the county that
Yeah.
are hanging in different first responders, fire
Wow.
stations, and other places. So
That's
the
fabulous.
art is making a big difference,
Yeah.
and it's inspiring our men and women who serve, and it's also inspiring our next generation.
And you got a couple more there?
I
want to make
do.
sure we get those up too.
I do. Here's
Oh
this.
my. Wow. So how did they get inspired? Did you come up with pictures to have the kids look at? And basically, how did they react to this event, Robin, since they were too young to remember it? What did you do? Did you do anything to bring this to the forefront? And if so, what?
Well, my biggest step forward was to keep reaching out to our teachers and explaining to them why it is so important for us.
Is that the Tunnel of Towers?
Yeah.
One,
It-
that's
why it's so
spectacular.
important to engage our next generation in this conversation. And I think we have some more art
Okay.
over there that
Well,
I'd
we'll
love
probably
for it to
span
be
over there
shown.
and look at some of that stuff as well.
Yes.
Because yeah, we have lots of stuff. My favorite one is the one with the flag that they're holding up.
This is a very significant piece of art because this is Voices Speaking Out, and it's a self-advocacy group in Warren County.
Okay.
So this particular student was very anxious about having this demonstrated, but again, we include all people in our event, and we have also some other pieces of work that have been done that I'd love to show that are actually poems written by fourth graders.
Oh my.
And our fourth graders, I'm going to read this one.
Well,
It's-
we got that on the screen there for a second. Let me just.
Oh,
Hey,
perfect.
Justin,
Yes.
how's the experience impacted your students?
So I know the students,
Look at that.
you know, it is definitely an eye-opener to what happened during 9/11 for them,
Yeah.
where a lot of them, you know, like I said, was not alive during that time frame, so they were unaware of what really America went through.
Yeah.
You know, and with today's dividedness, I think it really shows them, you know, coming together as a nation can only strengthen us.
Good timing on
yes,
that too,
yes.
by the way.
And I did want to answer your question.
Yeah.
I needed to convince the students and the educators about the relevance. And once they understood the relevance of it, and that was very quickly, they what they did is they would pick videos and they would have the students go to first-hand accounts and relive what we saw as adults.
Wow.
They saw for the first time, a lot of them,
Yeah.
and that had such an impact on them that in their art and their poetry and what they wrote, there was such a profound depth of wisdom.
Wow.
And they were speaking of the unity that brought our country together by the acts of bravery and courage, that it inspired them. And what I find so amazing is that 20 years later, those acts of incredible courage are still having a positive impact on generations not yet born at the time. So it just shows that you can never measure an act of courage or kindness and what that consequence looks like over the years, because what we basically are seeing is our young people inspired to do good and to be part of a solution of bringing about unity through their art and through their expression.
Now, what other opportunities are there for the high school students for future community projects with what you've started now?
Well,
what spin-offs can we expect to see?
Well, I'm looking for more schools to participate. I'm looking at really expanding our platform through the Warren County Career Center and Kings and the other schools by actually doing digital interviews of the wonderful people that live in Warren County and capturing their stories. We're talking about honoring our first responders on a regular basis with appreciation events. Like the first responders at the end of the month, there's a national holiday that recognizes them. So I'm asking for our schools to again express their appreciation, and so there's going to be opportunities also to say thank you at Thanksgiving and Christmas, and lots of new events, and also more community events.
See, people might not know this about Rob and Kiley. Okay, people come out and celebrate on the celebration. This is the 20th anniversary. You've been celebrating these heroes, not just now. This goes back. Does this go back 10 years ago? Because I remember your events and you getting this started, and this is and now it's peaked where everyone wants to celebrate. And you've been doing this for
a number of years.
Yeah.
I started individually. I started back in 2013 doing individual acts, and then it began to become an organization in 2015. Wow. So you have to start small, and you cannot despise your small beginnings. You just keep persevering, and every act of kindness has a corresponding effect on a multitude of people. So we can't understate how important it is for each of us to be inspired to do expressions of gratitude, even to our teachers, to thank them for inspiring our next generation of citizens and leaders and poets and artists and videographers and cinematographers. All of us have a real impact on each other, and why not do it for good, for the ideals?
This looks like it could be a pilot program. Do you think the Butler School is going to contact you and say, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" And matter of fact, the people out in the other counties to celebrate, because what you've done is something that should be copied and shared in those other areas and celebrated. And,
Our hope is to share the light. We're doing a Share the Light campaign, which is basically on the idea of each of us have a talent, a gift that God has given us. And when we use that talent and that gift for the greater good, for blessing others, for encouraging others, people in need, people, especially after this pandemic, people in isolation, we can really empower our community and be a light not only to each other, but to other communities and other cities that don't have this.
Wow.
I know. I would like to say that, Robin's given my students the opportunity to work with them doing their website. We've got a couple students in particular that have, taken on the roles of doing that kind of as an internship, and will, get real-world experience with this, which they wouldn't be able to achieve, normally in the classroom. So it's an amazing setup, and I wish to continue it throughout the years. So
it's nice to see you partnering like that. And,
Absolutely.
And our Career Center is just so wonderful. And appreciate what you do. What's next with Stand to Serve? What's the next project coming out, and where are you going with this?
Well, my hope is to get more cards, more art, more poetry, and do it in a way that we can deliver it to more people, that they can be blessed and touched and encouraged in all of these professions. I actually brought samples of cards that I have that we've used to hand out to our medical professionals who have been under the gun in situations where they're having to handle.
This ain't something you went down to Walmart to get a case of 50 or 100. This is something you made, right?
Oh, these are things that we made, and I'm actually going to partner with the schools and Warren County Career Center.
So does that have an impact on them more when they see, man, this is, somebody made this?
Yes.
Not that there's anything wrong with the card.
No, we're not using commercial cards. We're creating.
Wow.
And that's the big lesson here, is that people can create an atmosphere and a excitement, enthusiasm that is infectious to all of, that's probably not a good word, but
I get my mask on, start talking infectious.
But our enthusiasm it transforms other people in other places, and it gets people fired up to want to do what they can do, and everybody has a special gift, and our organization wants those people to have a way to express that gift. So
now, I know you brought a bunch of other stuff. Can you share with us one of the poems, a shorter version of it, so people can see how your heart's been touched, and maybe it'll touch your heart. Can you share one of the poems with us?
Oh, you mean one of my poems, or one of the poems of the...
how about the one you got right there?
I'm going to read a poem by a 4th grader. It says,
Wow.
Our Heroes. And I'm touched by this. You might think that all heroes wear capes, but a hero is much more than that. Heroes are our lifesavers. They are brave. They are selfless. They do all of this for you. They even risk their lives for yours. So take a minute to thank and honor them for all they have done. This is a 4th grader.
Wow.
And they're not including just firemen and police and military. They're including our medical professionals, our teachers. There's lots of heroes, unspoken heroes, that we need to thank and honor. And having these young people understand that a life of purpose is a life of service is a amazing truth.
Yeah, I'm thinking good word for our audience is gratitude.
Yes.
You know, and we need to stop and reflect and
be thankful.
Be thankful. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that to the forefront for our community, for all the kids at school, because we go so fast. We got so much on our plate. Is there anything else? Is there anything that I missed that you'd like to share with the folks out there?
Well, what I would like people to do is to go to the stand2serve.com website and reach out to me, or reach out to the Warren County Foundation and get engaged with us. Come alongside us with these wonderful students and teachers and help us make this world a better place and bring about more peace, more love, more unity, and more creativity.
Nice, nice. Justin, your thoughts as we wrap up? Was it a great? Is this the best assignment you've had with the kids?
This was one of the most inspiring assignments we've had, where the students, like I said, I had 8 of them, that every single one of them came back and was just raving about how much they enjoyed it and the opportunity, and even the experience of the actual ceremony, I think, was heartwarming.
Got your wheels going?
Yes, you know, and so it was a very neat partnership, and I wish it to continue in the future. And you know, we're always looking to connect to the communities and to help out our community. And if the students can learn something while doing that, that's a win-win all around. So,
that's great.
And I know there was other classes involved as well, where our graphic design program helped to design some of the posters and things like that for it. We even had our culinary class who cooked cookies for the ceremony and things like that.
Don't be talking about cookies. You're not bringing cookies. That's my role.
Yeah, so it wasn't just the digital design class there at the Warren County, but a lot of the classes chipped in to try to help out any way we could.
You got everybody involved. And you found a way. That's awesome, because that's important too. Yeah.
And I would encourage everybody to go to the Stand to Serve website and see the wonderful work that Mr. Deeter and his students have done. It's really outstanding. So
I'll tell you what else. Next time you're in a crowd, go up to the police officer and say thank you.
yes.
Okay, I don't think they get tired of it.
No.
And I love you police officers out there. I love you service people. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. We'll be back with Sheriff Larry Sims inside the new Warren County Jail right after this break.
Break your fast food habit at Kelly's Meats and Deli at 1001 West Main Street in Lebanon. Stop in for a quick lunch featuring made-to-order sandwiches, tasty sides, and mouth-watering daily specials. For dinner, Kelly's offers fresh-cut steaks, chops, and seafood, plus a variety of prepared dishes that only need to be reheated. You'll also find a large selection of high-quality wine and beer that can make any meal a special event. Kelly's Meats and Deli open 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Tuesday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday, now open for dinner Saturdays 6 to 9 p.m. And remember, we cater too.
Since 1954, Hardee's Interiors has been providing quality furnishings for homes in and around Lebanon, Ohio. Today, you'll still find quality antique and vintage furniture along with new made-in-America furniture of all styles. At Hardee's, you can create a mix of furniture and accessories that truly reflects your personality, all made to last a lifetime. Designers are welcome and so are you. Hardee's Interiors at 208.5 Wright Avenue or online at hardeesinteriors.com.
Are you turning 65 soon? If so, you're probably getting overwhelmed with harassing phone calls and endless stacks of marketing materials in your mail. Making the right choice for your Medicare coverage can be confusing and frustrating. That's where the Medicare Resource Center comes in.
We offer no-cost reviews to help you discover the right plan for you.
We are located in Lebanon, Ohio, and provide a COVID-safe environment to serve you.
So whether you're retiring soon or turning 65, just give us a call and we'll schedule your no-cost review.
Welcome back to the City Show. I'm in one of the pods with Sheriff Larry Sims. I know a lot of you out there thinking, it's about time they lock that Krieger guy up. But no, there are no handcuffs here. We're just trying to figure out what's going on with this beautiful facility. Larry, this is something that you were probably thinking about years ago. When did you first start talking and thinking about a new jail? And
yeah, actually, we've had conversations about a new facility probably as far back as 2007,
Wow.
Before becoming sheriff, and then they have continued throughout that time.
Okay, what's the need for us to have this facility? Is Warren County, are we just growing so much? Is the crime getting worse, or is the population, or is this just preventive?
It's a combination of all of those things, actually. Anybody that grew up here has seen the growth in this county for years, and I think even the latest census shows us about 242,000 residents, and population certainly escalates that. But you know, the crime in this county is still at a level that, you know, we're safe. We're not seeing the types of crimes as they do elsewhere, but it's necessary. It's a combination of all those alternatives of getting people into other monitoring systems, but you do need jail space. There are times that people just need to go to jail, and we've been over capacity for probably 10 years or more, and shuffling people in and out of jail to make room for somebody that comes in here for a more serious offense.
So how big was the prior jail as far as occupancy? How big could you handle as far as the number of inmates?
Originally, I believe that facility was built for 160. There was some expansion inside over the years to put it up to just under 200, and then we also added beds in that jail in 2011 that put us up to a 280 bed capacity.
Now, is that still functioning as the juvenile detention center or in some other capacity, the old jail?
Well, there are two different facilities. The juvenile is a completely separate facility up the road from it. This has always been an adult facility, and it's operating right now until we move our staff and our current residents in our jail over here. And I don't know that they have any solid plans for the future use of that. That's still yet to be decided, but it'll be completely empty once we move over here.
And the capacity over here is what?
The capacity over here is 496 operational capacity, there's 3 additional medical cells, and then there are 32 beds, temporary beds, that are in our booking facility that would not be able to be fully occupied 24 hours a day. But so a total of 531 beds.
Oh my goodness! And we're in one of the pods right now, and it has two floors, and each room house is big enough for 2 individuals.
Yes, we're in A pod. A pod. There's 3 pods altogether: A, B, and C in the new facility. A pod is our low-level offender, and there's a combination of dormitory space that are basically looks like a military barracks, the double bunks. We're in a housing unit that has cells, and these cells have 2 bunks per cell, and probably some people remember the whole double bunking battle between sheriff then and commissioners, and it's about square footage and following the guidelines, and these are all built within those capacities. So these have 2 bunks per cell, and we're out in the day room, if you will, of this housing unit, and there's 32 beds in this unit right here.
Okay, I remember back in the military, and again, I was in basic training a long time ago. This is pretty nice. This is a lot better than the place I had to stay in, and it's nice to see people are taken care of in a nice way. And is this just a temporary holding area until they get arraigned or get their court date? How long typically do you have your guests staying here?
Well, the average day average stay in our jail altogether out of all the inmates is only about 20 days. So we have a combination of people that are sentenced here, and they can be sentenced here by a court for up to a year. And I'm talking about in the jail, not just at this individual unit. And the vast majority of our people that are in our jail now are awaiting trials or awaiting pleas. We've had some people that were in here for murders in the past that sat here for 3 years waiting for their case to go through the process. But typically it's much less in and out. So if you have somebody in here, they very likely could be sentenced here, or they're just waiting for their case to process through the court system.
Okay, so you have 3 pods like this. Women and men, I would assume, are not housed in the same pod?
That is correct. A pod and B pod are strictly male housing units. C pod is our female pod or housing units, and there are 168 beds in C pod. But because of the way they designed that, 2 of those housing units could be used for male or female, depending upon what the population of our inmates are that drives that.
Okay. Now this, it close to complete. I mean, it's a beautiful facility. I mean, from the outside, typically you go to most cities and you see the facilities where they house prisoners, and they look dark. You can tell.
Sure.
You can't tell it here. I mean, on the inside, obviously the windows, but the front, it looks, the architecture, everything.
Sure.
Just a great job.
Sure. They've done a beautiful job, and you certainly want our buildings and our communities to look nice. And internally, you mentioned something about clean and nice, and I want to make a couple comments about that. You certainly look around, it's not plush.
Yes.
We're around concrete and steel.
Yeah.
But it is clean, and it's necessary to treat people humanely.
Yes.
They'll get what they need in here. They certainly don't all get what they want, but you also have to have an environment for employees to work in.
Yeah.
So if you don't have something that's going to provide them a safe environment and clean environment, it's tough enough to get people to work in this career path as it is, let alone if you don't have a facility that allows them to do their job safely and efficiently. And this certainly is going to allow this in many ways.
Let's talk about staff. How much did your staff have to grow where it was to this? Because you got the cleaning folks, you got they have to be fed, you got the cooks. And,
sure. Well, oddly enough, our corrections staff across the road in our current jail, there's 70 civilian officers from the jail administrator down, and some clerical staff that process the paperwork between the court systems. And coming over here from 280 beds across the parking lot to 500 beds over here. We only added 4 corrections officers and 1 clerical staff.
Wow.
And the biggest reason that is the efficiency and the design of this jail is much different than across the road, and the technology enhancements here, the visibility from the control rooms that we see out here, the staffing doesn't quite require the demand as the old facility would. And some of them, if they're old enough, they are pretty staff inefficient, and the older the facility is.
And you mentioned you have a medical facility as well for the inmates?
We do, and even in our current facility across the road, we're responsible for their care and custody, and we had 24-hour medical care there. And again, it's about a capacity change. Over there you had 280. We're preparing for, eventually 500, so the medical staff will increase. The county did bid out a new contract, so we have a service provider that actually supervises and supplies medical, mental health, and dental care, psychiatrist, doctor, on demand. So there certainly will be RNs and LPNs working around the clock in the jail.
Now I imagine they have specs on how many people can be in this room, how big the rooms have to be.
Yes.
So this is state of the art. I imagine there are a lot of facilities in our country that are still small because they built them a long time ago.
Sure. And as we were building this, and you talk about specs, we are required by law in Ohio to follow what the Ohio Department of Corrections puts out in standards, and we do that across the road. And as we were building this, there were specifications that the state required. They've been involved in this. Their construction criteria people have been involved in this design and build out from the very beginning. So yes, 32 beds, that's all it can be in here. 32 people, inmates, that's all it can be in here. There's a certain number of places that they can eat. There's certain numbers of bathrooms, showers. All those are stated in the standards that tell you if you have this many people, you have to have these types of things available to them. Because they don't leave these housing units once they're here. They're fed here. They come out for rec time here. Some of their medical needs are dealt with in here, if it's just medication, that type of thing. So there's not a lot of movement in and out of here. They can visit family in here by video visitation capabilities. They can talk to family by phone. So it's really kind of a self-contained unit in and of itself.
So this pod isn't just for eating. This is their is this their recreation area as well?
This is kind of their indoor recreation, yes. So as you walk around the pod, you'll see that there is an outdoor rec, a contained area, outside area within the facility that they can actually get outside. And those movements are regimented as well. There's certain times of the day, if the weather permits, they can go outside, and it's done uniformly, housing unit by housing unit, so that you don't have 208 people out there at the same time. You go on a schedule of which unit goes out and then come back in and you go to the next.
Whole different world in here. Want to show us around?
I would love to show you around.
Let's go take a look at this place. Wow, we're in a control center. This place monitors 3 pods, and you have an area for exercise that has open sunlight. Larry, this is state of the art. Can you tell us a little bit about how this works?
Sure. We're actually in A pod control. So when I mentioned that there was A, B, and C pods, this is only A pod. So sitting in here, the officer will see all of the housing units in A pod. If we went over to B, they'd have their own control room, and they'd be watching those individual.
So this is one pod?
This is one pod.
Oh my gosh, I thought that was one pod. So
that's a housing unit.
Each pod has 4, 5 housing units?
This has 6 housing units.
Oh my goodness.
208 beds in this A pod. And B pod has 5 housing units, 120 beds, and C pod has 6 housing units with the 168 beds. So there'll be an officer here. that will be monitoring these camera views. There's over 200 cameras in this jail facility, and so they'll be sitting here, lights will be down so that you can see a lot better looking out. And then we'll have corrections officers that actually roam in and out of these housing units. But this person sitting here controls the movement, the opening and closing of doors in this particular pod. And the same way would be with B and C, staffing wise. And this is particularly one of the reasons why we didn't have a significant staff increase going from across the road. The efficiency is just unbelievable, quite honestly, because it allows you to see a lot more things and it allows you to use your staff a lot more efficiently. And the technology is one of the biggest reasons why we can do those things better.
Wow, that's incredible. And compared to the other facility, because this looks like space age stuff, I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah, we do have a little bit of technology there, but you know, if you think back about one part of it was built in the 70s, the other part in the 90s, technology improved over the years like it always does, but nowhere near like it is now. And trying to put new technology into something that's built with nothing but concrete and steel is pretty tough to get new stuff up in ceilings and through walls. So, but yeah, I would have to agree. This is the best on the market right now as far as technology goes.
Now the recreational area, they get sunlight, but there's no weightlifting. There's not a basketball court because they found that can be problematic.
Sure. You know, people get their tempers up. You know, they get a little emotional. Sometimes they get in fights with one another, and so they can do some things out there. You know, beanbag toss. You know, on the when you talk about their leisure time, if you will, there's board games. They play cards, things like that on the inside. When the weather is nice, they can go out, at least get fresh air, see the sunlight. Obviously, if you looked around, there's windows throughout the facility, and there is a requirement by standards to have, you know, natural lighting, which you would want. We all like natural lighting. So, but to get outside, that's how they get outside at regimented time schedules throughout the day.
The other thing I noticed on the screen was the bay, where they come in and they get transferred. Everything's enclosed. Can we see that?
Absolutely. You can walk and we can head out towards booking. You can walk through the booking reception area and then walk right into that garage or sally port as we refer to it.
This is exciting. Let's check it out.
All right, so we're now in the booking area. Here, the booking counter where officers will be stationed. Along this side of the hallway are holding cells that would be for any people coming in that are males. On that side is all lined up with holding cells for females. And then as you can see right above the countertop, they also have monitors for a variety of camera views. We've got monitors up here that will actually contain a list of everybody that's housed here so that our staff would be able to look up there immediately and be able to see who's in what pod. There's a number of cells over here that would allow us to put any of the inmates in there that are being transported to court, so they're not right in the middle of the congestion here. And then our transportation deputy sheriffs would be able to enter that room, get them prepared, handcuffs, things like that, so that they can take them out onto the court.
This looks so. This is the processing. How many people do you anticipate being processed per month?
Well, even right now in our facility over there, we process 5,000 people per year coming in. So we are going to see an increase. We anticipate, it's kind of a guesstimate, that we'll have probably 350 people in our facility within the first few weeks. We house about 280, but that's taken in consideration that we have to emergency release people now because there's not enough beds. That emergency release will stop. So as people come in, the population would naturally grow, and so you won't have that immediate release. So we're just guessing based upon what we've seen over the last year or two. So you break that down per month, I could certainly see that going up pretty significantly early on. So
how many staff are processed, or rather working up in here? Because it looks like a big need.
Yeah, you'll have at least 2 officers assigned here. You'll have a supervisor assigned here. When our policy, and rightfully so, when you have people coming in of a certain gender, if they're going to be processed in, we have to have 2 officers of the same gender to assist in that.
Okay.
Because they're certainly coming in, they're changing out, if they're staying, they're changing out into the clothing that we provide, and that requires 2 people for the safety of the person coming in as well as our staff.
Okay.
For observation purposes.
And the screens that the gentleman over there is working on, that's not for Monday Night Football.
No, it's not for football games. We have a program that will allow us to list every inmate in our facility broken down on the pod and the housing unit. So they'll be able to look up there and see a quick look and see where inmate so-and-so is. And then be able to communicate back to the other parts of our jail about movement if necessary.
Yeah. Impressive and efficient. Yeah.
Well, we're certainly excited. You can see it in our staff. It's been needed for quite some time. It'll help take a little bit of the pressure off of our staff, and quite honestly, it'll provide a lot more efficiency. And it's clean, it's new, and in fact, it'll be a nicer place for if somebody finds their way here, and we're in charge of their care and custody. So.
Now they're dropped off, and then the doors from the drop-off area come in here, and that's totally enclosed and sealed. So
yes,
I mean,
we have a giant garage, a sally port. You pull in one side, the door goes down. Officer gets out, brings the person in. Once they're in, the officer leaves. He goes out the other door. The door goes up. You're out, and they're always in a secured area.
Not like it was years ago.
No.
I bet you've seen some things.
Yeah.
Hey, can you show us that where they get dropped off? That'd be kind of neat to see that.
Absolutely.
So this is the bay that people are transported into.
Yes. The law enforcement officers that bring somebody in will come in this garage. It'll be opened by our control staff. They'll drive in, that door will go down. They'll stop, they'll exit, they'll bring the individual into the booking area.
Okay.
Again, controlled by the corrections staff. The other door stays down, and then when they're finished doing their business, they'll come in, door goes up, they leave. So nobody comes in to an area that's not secure.
Wow. Lord, all those other risks, taking them off.
Yes.
Totally.
Yep.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Impressive. So Larry, this is a body scanner that you use for people as they come in?
Yes, we do, and we purchased this actually a few months ago, but as people can imagine, it's tough to keep contraband out of our jail, and drugs. It's not uncommon for people to try to smuggle those in. And again, those create health risk for even the people that are smuggling it in.
So you're talking about things that they smuggle within their body.
Absolutely.
This is going to pick that up.
This will pick it up.
So you got to be grateful. No more cavity searches.
Yep,
right?
absolutely.
You just have this machine.
It'll certainly be helpful, and it's a tool. Nothing's perfect, but we've got a combination of things to just help make the whole environment safer.
Wow.
So.
Wow. And that's just for the inmates coming in, not people who are coming in to visit people.
Correct.
Or is there a concern about transfer of contraband with the visiting? Probably not, because there's a glass, there's no contact, is there?
Right, and we do not allow visitations any longer, personal visits with family. It's all done by video visitation system.
Okay.
Now, you occasionally get legal visits, people that come in, attorneys, clergy. Those don't create much of a concern. There's very little contact with the inmate themselves. But this is more concerning with somebody that gets arrested and now is going to come into our facility and end up in a housing unit where there is other people and passing whatever it is that they bring in around.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Well, buddy, I appreciate you and the leadership you provide, and all the men and women who work with you, putting their lives on the line to keep us safe. This is amazing. I enjoyed this. I hope you did. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this message.
Both my legs were amputated due to an IED. It's when you start to try to get back into like an everyday life. I absolutely felt like I lost some of my purpose. There must be something more. When DAV came into my life, they gave me a new mission. I could still be a productive member of society, could still support a family.
The DAV gave him that sense of structure and purpose again to get his life back together.
Visit DAV.org to learn more about our mission.
Me and my boy Matt had it good. He had catnip that was off the hook. But one day, he brings a girl home, and she's allergic to cats. Every sneeze was a nail in my coffin. Now I'm in a shelter. It's decent, but they don't even have Wi-Fi.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
Today I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars.
Really tall.
I'm a rocket structural engineer, designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation that will be stepping foot on Mars. Do I have a group of astronauts on my hands?
Yes.
You can become a rocket scientist or whatever else you want to be.
Welcome back. There are 2 opportunities to celebrate Halloween in Lebanon this year. On Saturday, October 30th from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., come have your kids put on their costumes and bring them downtown for the Merchants Trick or Treat. And actually, there'll only be treats for the children. The City of Lebanon Trick or Treat hours will be on Sunday, October 31st from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Be sure to be extra careful as you move about the city in that evening. Well, that's all we have for today. Thanks for watching. We'll be back on November 3rd with a special event coming in November from the Lebanon Theater Company and the Girls' Night Out on November celebration from Main Street, Lebanon. See you then.